Benson is a reporter from our NewsNation station in Charleston, South Carolina. He has been closely following this case since the very beginning, every twist and bizarre turn. Riley, what can you tell us about MURDAUGH planning to turn himself in tomorrow?
Well, Molly, that was an update we got late this afternoon that Alec Murdaugh will plan to turn himself in tomorrow morning and that there will be a bond hearing tomorrow afternoon, sometime in the late afternoon. My understanding is that the charges that Alec faces at this point, the warrant that's out for his arrest, is dealing with the conspiracy to commit insurance fraud related to, obviously, the attempted suicide, but more so to that $10 million insurance payout that would have gone to his son, his remaining son, Buster Murdaugh. That's really what the charges we're hearing at this point. Now, obviously, there's still a lot of questions surrounding that attempted suicide effort that failed on September 4th and whether or not more charges will come from that.
I would suspect he must be under close watch tonight, given the fact that he allegedly had somebody attempt to kill him and his state of mind. What are you hearing about where he is tonight and the plan to turn himself in tomorrow and keep him safe and alive?
Well, there's a lot of questions about where Alec is and where Alec has been over the last week since he checked himself into rehab. The latest that we've heard, and that was mentioned today by his attorneys, is that Alec is in a rehab facility out of state. Now, that doesn't tell us where out of state. That doesn't tell us how far away. Now, you would assume that it's somewhere close, maybe Savannah, maybe Atlanta. But there really is a lot of questions about, how does Alec plan to get back to Hampton County tomorrow morning, and where is he staying tonight? Is he checked out already, and is he at the family property? We don't know. That's been it's been kept quiet, obviously, for obvious reasons. But it'll be very interesting to see when Alec shows up tomorrow to turn himself in.
Are we hearing, Riley, from anyone else in the Murdaugh family, in particular Buster, the surviving son, who would have been the beneficiary of an insurance payout if Alec had died?
We haven't heard anything from Buster really since the June 7th murder of obviously his mother and his brother. The last time he had been seen until last week was at the funeral service back on June 11th. He was spotted last week at the family's beach property down on Edisto Island. That's about an hour away from the family property known as Moselle. But we haven't heard anything from Buster other than the statement that was released by Alec and Buster along with the tip, the reward for any tips. That was a couple months ago, about a month after the shooting. The latest family member to speak has been Randy, Alec's brother. That was last week in regards to the misappropriation of funds. But Buster has been very quiet through this whole situation.
Riley, finally, the focus right now is on Alec turning himself in, all of these bizarre things that have happened in the last couple of weeks. Does that cloud the investigation into the murder of Maggie and Paul, or does it offer potentially more clues for investigators in trying to bring this thing together?
I think it's a mix of a little bit of both. Obviously, we've had a lot of updates this week. We go back as far as reopening a case into Stephen Smith. And now this week we hear that the death settlement never was paid to the family of the housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. Say another lawsuit is filed in Gloria Satterfield's estate for that money. And now they're reopening an investigation into her death. Now, all of these investigations that have been reopened have been because of clues they have found through other investigations. Right now, there are 6 active investigations, at least 6 active investigations involving Alec Murdaugh and the family. I would assume a lot of that does cloud up some stuff for investigators. It's going to take a little bit of time to kind of comb through all of this. But I would say in the same breath, I think that's uncovering a lot of things that have been maybe hidden for maybe even years. It's quite interesting to see these new cases reopen.
Wow, 6 active investigations. Riley Benson, as always, thank you.
Thank you so much.